And we are live. I'm Lauren. This is Subconscious Muse. Thank you, Daniel, for your note. Yes, let's go. We too. Happy to be here. Whoever's here, I would love if you could comment below where you're coming from and what you're looking to get out of this today. Last week, we focused on the foundation for self-love, and we went through each little detail on how you could have a solid foundation on working on yourself. Can you guys hear me okay? Daniel, hold on, let me see. You put, I completed week 1's assignments. My boss had a tendency to make joking around with inappropriate comments towards us employees, and I felt it as disrespectful. Asked not with me anymore. Yeah, good for you. Awesome. I freaking love that. And it's all about those little muscles that we keep building, right? And we build atop. So thank you, Daniel, for completing that. We're gonna go over the assignments in a second, but what I'm gonna have you guys do is email me your assignments when you complete them so I can keep a tally of who's doing what, because some people are watching after the live actual presentation. But I want whoever is doing all the work to get credit and to be able to be entered into winning the ultimate prize, which we will also go over today. So again, thank you, Daniel. Appreciate you. Super awesome. It's boundaries and learning how to tell people no, especially in moments where there's a ton of discomfort. For me in particular, that was a hard muscle to build. I always wanted to make other people feel happy and secure, even at my own detriment, or to my own detriment. I was constantly concerned about the external pleasure of how are they feeling? What am I doing to impact their happiness versus what this is all about tonight, which is mastering yourself and focusing on me and pouring into my cup first. So all those little things that we're learning and growing from, it makes a huge difference. I have found that in my daily life, and you may or may not be able to relate with this, Daniel, and anybody else who's watching this, but in our most close and intimate relationships, we are challenged the most with self-love. And this is where we build the muscle the strongest. So the people closest to you, your family, your friends, your colleagues, these are the people that are going to give you the opportunity in situations like the one you mentioned, where your boss, where he was joking around with inappropriate comments. Those are the moments where we have the opportunity to step fully in our truth, in our strength, in our power, and really say, hey, I'm not aligned with this. I'm not okay with this. And it's okay to say no. And I've learned a lot in my most intimate relationships, especially dating in particular. It's very interesting. Today, we're going to again learn how to master self.
And we are live.
And stand solid there. And I want to do things a little different than last week. So I'm a huge fan of doing what works and not going against the grain. I put here for the week 1 assignments for anyone who completed them. Here's my email address. You're going to want to email Lauren at thesubconsciousmuse.com. The first assignment, practice leaving your comfort zone and make discomfort your friend. Resistance to rejection, practice saying no and pouring into your cup first. And then the life audit. Daniel, did you get any kind of immediate I guess, wisdom nuggets from auditing where you were pouring your energy. Is there anything that you would like to share with everybody? If not, that's fine too. Um, these two examples, if you could email them to me, I will again put you towards the prize, which again I'll go over in just a second. I have decided I'm going to offer 3 free coaching sessions. There's always one free session for anyone who's interested in working with me, but 3, and we'll uncover your limited beliefs and really work through that together. And additionally, I have a workbook for self-love, along with a few other tools and an ebook for self-love that I will be giving to the winners. So just wanted to throw that out there. Okay. Let's go ahead and jump in. Gotcha, Daniel. Kind of personal. I hear you. No worries. You don't have to share it, but I'm glad that you're realizing where your energy is being poured and how it's being poured and how it's impacting you. That's huge. It's very important to start notating that. I wanted to start with a meditation today. I really am a strong proponent towards meditating. It's really one of those things that changed my life. And once we can slow down our minds and really look honestly at what we're doing with our energy and our time, that's when we truly can love ourselves. So give me a second. I'm going to pull up some music. If you could find a comfortable, quiet spot to relax. If you want to lay down or sit down, either way is fine. There's really no right or wrong, as long as you're comfortable, preferably in a quiet space. And let's begin with a guided self-love affirmation meditation. Self-love is a practice. It can take time. Be gentle with yourself. If the affirmations don't feel authentic yet, over time, you will internalize them more. As emotions come up in the course of this meditation, do your best to acknowledge them non-judgmentally. Treat your emotions like clouds passing by. Notice them, but let them pass. Begin by settling into whichever position you chose. Again, make sure you feel comfortable and focus on your breathing. What does your breath feel like as it enters your nose and exits your mouth? Keep breathing. Zoom out, noticing how your entire body feels. Are you holding any tension? Do you notice how your shoulders, your back, and your jaw feel? For many people, those areas tend to hold tension. If so, invite yourself to release the tension. Don't worry if your mind starts to wander. Just gently bring your attention back to your breath and to the feeling of warmth and self-love as you continue to take slow, deep breaths. Now, Repeat the following self-love affirmations slowly with warmth and gentleness towards yourself. Rather than worry what others think, I choose to live my life for me. In every way, I am already enough. I choose to cultivate positive thoughts about myself. I'm allowed to have needs and express them. I choose to be kind to myself. Rather than follow the expectations of others, I choose the path that's right for me. I love who I used to be, who I am, and who I'm becoming. When I look back on past versions of myself, I feel warmth and gratitude. Taking time for self-care is not the same as being selfish. Sometimes I feel emotionally turbulent. That's okay. I allow myself to feel all feelings. My own approval is worth more than the approval of others. When I look at my life, it's incredible how much I've grown. I walk through the world feeling loved by myself and by others. If I want to change, that's okay. But I don't have to change in order to love myself. I'm allowed to set boundaries and expect others to follow them. My voice deserves to be heard, and my feelings deserve to be shared. I am worthy of forgiveness. I choose to forgive myself. I notice what feels like an obligation in my life, and I release myself. I choose to associate with people who make me feel better and allow those who don't to drift away. Although I've made mistakes, they don't define me. I have something of value to give the world just by being me. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Notice how you feel. Bring these feelings of self-love with you throughout the day, and remember, whenever you need it, it's already inside of you. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Every single day, if you can take some time to set aside enough, maybe 20 to 30 minutes stillness to where you can clear your mind and allow yourself to meditate, your whole world will change for the better. This is how we slow down our brainwaves. This is how we curate a life that we love. Here, let me get rid of this banner for you guys. I'm going to cover mastering self today. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Let's see. Okay. Everybody's on a different part of their journey. Every single one of us has a different past, has different goals, has different limiting beliefs, has already endured or hasn't endured much. It's very individual based on the person who is trying to grow towards the best version of themselves. I love showing the hero's journey because as many, yes, Daniel, the subconscious mind trying to fight it. Yep. It's natural to have that resistance. And if you keep at it, I also find that when you frame things as I am building the muscle towards in a way that your body aligns with, there's less resistance too. So feel free to always edit affirmations however it flows best in your body and your mind. It's a little hack right there. The hero's journey is personal for a lot of us because we're all trying to be the best versions of ourselves so that we can give back, so that we can end generational trauma, so that we can just be happy and enjoy our truths in our lives. And we all have our own little call to adventure, our own little unique story. We typically find either a mentor or someone to help along the way. And that's when we have the challenges and the temptations. And just like I've mentioned prior to now, everything will contract and expand based on where you're at in the journey. And if you can mindfully notate that when you're enduring hard times, and remember, there's always going to be a roadblock. There's always going to be a speed bump. Because when we're growing and expanding our consciousness and our minds and ourselves, we don't know what we don't know. And as long as you're prepared for that mentally, those hard days aren't as hard as they have to be. And I feel a lot of people avoid talking about that. They just tackle the setting goals and the seeing the bright, shiny object at the end of the tunnel. But there's good and bad, because all of that space between here and now there's so much that we have to tackle to get there. And the abyss is where most of us endure the rebirth. And I call that the dark night of the soul. I've been through that multiple times. And those are the days where you really figure out who you are. You reevaluate every aspect of your being, your values, you recalibrate them. Your goals, you recalibrate them. Your social circles, you recalibrate your entire life. And with somebody there to help you, or at least allow you to see that there is a greater reality than where you are currently at, that's how you get through to the other side. So really just wanted to put that there for you guys to see that there's a rhyme and a reason. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. Napoleon Hill said that. Again, I put the goals here on the right, which I'll keep harping on that, because the clearer that you can get with your goals, the more focused and the less stressed you'll be elsewhere in your life. Be very specific, make sure they're measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Are you in control of your thoughts? I like the little picture to the left. You see this guy, he's afraid of his own shadow. And I find it enlightening for me. I'll share a bit about my own story and fighting my own shadow. I didn't know what I didn't know. And I felt stuck. And it wasn't until I found the right coach who does the same work that I do, who was able to really sit with me and deeply help me analyze my programming, my misaligned thoughts, my misaligned beliefs, my misaligned actions. When I realized the only reason I was stuck was because of my past programming. And it was my shadow that I needed to integrate. And once we make the unconscious conscious, it no longer controls us, right? And this is when my life changed. So I became hyper aware of all of the little things that were controlling me, even down to the unnecessary pressures that I had in my family, the behaviors that I clung onto for dear life, believing that that's where I had to be. In reality, there was a much better way to handle life. And if you had told me prior to that session that I was going to stop those patterns and those beliefs and finally be in control of my life in ways I only dreamt of, I don't know. I probably would have been slightly skeptical. But my personal shadow, I hid a lot. I was a people pleaser. I was afraid of being vulnerable in my darkest moments. I was too afraid to show people when I was hurting because I felt like I was a burden. I was taught and programmed at a young age to believe that emotions and being overly emotional was almost a sign of weakness, not in a violent way, but in a stoic way. And I was conditioned to be what most people call the scapegoat in a dysfunctional family, where I just constantly felt like I didn't have a voice because I was hiding in my darkest moments. And that translated to me feeling depression, me feeling driven by my emotions, because I was, whatever you suppress, whatever you feel shame about, whatever you avoid, shows up in your life in negative ways. And that was my shadow self. So I was a heavy drinker for a while. I was an emotional eater, and that controlled me. I was impulsive just with life. I didn't put my needs first. I was always more concerned about everyone else and harming them while I was harming myself. And a lot of my fear was unconscious. It was all programmed. It was my subconscious beliefs of needing to be this strong, stoic, nurturing person who couldn't show any flaws. And that's just not sustainable. And it took me a long time to realize that truly that was the source of a lot of my dysfunction, my mental dysfunction, and my dysfunction in my life in general. As you can imagine, until you realize all of that and you are able to integrate your shadow self. So what parts of you hide? What parts of you are you suppressing? What parts of you do you avoid? What do you do in moments where you are tempted or stressed? And that's where you'll typically see these behaviors, right? And if you can become more consciously aware of these patterns and thoughts, they will no longer control you. So for me, I had to learn. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate that. For me, I had to learn how to have boundaries, how to have a voice, how to be vulnerable, how to share my truth on my deepest level, even on my dark days, even in a mindset, not letting my emotions get the best of me. Instead, conquering that part of myself, and me doing the best of myself in my darkest moments, and learning how to integrate and master myself. And all it's so interesting. It can be a self-fulfilling prophecy when you look at a lot of these things systems to affect, right? I love using astrology as my, I'm sure you've seen that now, where there's somebody walking around saying, okay, Becky, don't use your sign as an excuse to be a brat or an a-hole, whatever, right? But that's pretty much what astrology does for people. They see a chart, they find where they're born, they look at their traits, say, oh, I guess this is who I am. And they only focus on those parts of themselves. And it's almost like it's the best way to avoid growing when you do that, right? Because you're not looking at how can I grow beyond these versions of myself. And I'm not saying astrology is true or false here. I have my own belief system. I don't like to push my beliefs onto anyone else externally, but I will say that there's a limited way of viewing astrology and there's an expanded mindset. The limited way is seeing, okay, this is where I'm stuck. This is just how I am. And the abundance mindset is, okay, I'm aware of these behaviors, but I can outgrow them. They don't define me. right? Same is true for gender norms. You see little things like this is such a huge topic right now. Um, Again, I'm not going to give you guys my specific belief system because it's unnecessary for me to pour my beliefs and push that on you guys. I just want to help expand your mind and help you see things a little deeper, right? My parents never really pushed specific gender norms on me or my brother. My brother was always capable of being more sensitive, and I played sports and I was rough and played with boys as a kid. I guess I've always seen a little bit of a bigger picture. And it doesn't mean that you can't still have this more, masculine quality or feminine quality. It's just people aren't stuck in these paradigms, right? And you find a lot of people that feel almost imprisoned by these belief systems like, oh, I have to be this way. No, you don't. And just because you're not that way doesn't make you a bad person, right? We each define our own truths. And it's such a big movement right now. You'll always, to the right, you believe in the conclusion and then you create supporting arguments. It's pretty much what's going on in this world. And I'm not saying that I don't agree with X or Y or Z. Again, just explaining that when we plug into a belief, we're going to find our own supporting arguments. And this is always on every side. I've always chosen to rise above and see a bigger picture, right? Politics is a good one. Same exact thing. Family beliefs. You see your father or your mom or your siblings act a certain way. A lot of us believe you have to fall into those same programming patterns, or this is just how we are. And it's just simply not true. And the more you tell yourself that, just like those affirmations, you'll feel stuck and limited, right? Your past trauma. I know for me, I've done quite a bit of work on myself, hence why I'm giving it back at this point in my life. But I endured a trauma that I still have yet to really fully share publicly. Don't feel the need to. I will when and if I'm ready. But it shaped my life for a long time, up until around the time my daughter entered this world. And in hindsight, I see it so clearly that this happened and then all these behaviors happened, and I just didn't see outside that chaos, right? But in reality, it was me perpetuating it by not escaping it. So we're not stuck or limited by our trauma. And that belief alone is a limiting belief. Our world is so trauma hungry right now. We all believe that we have to live with these symptoms for the rest of our lives, and we have to endure the hardship and the pain. And it's just simply not the case. You don't know what you don't know. So why not believe in something better than what you can even fathom? So one thing that I still and will always harp on is our nervous system is what really controls our life. It controls our mind. It controls our livelihood. It controls how we navigate relationships. It controls how we react. It controls how we eat, sleep, think, breathe, everything. Our nervous system is the center of our being, in a sense. That and your gut, healing your gut, not just from looking beyond limiting beliefs, but actually the microbiome in your gut and healing your gut and making sure you have the proper bacteria in there for everything to flow properly. That's for another day. But nonetheless, I wanted to mention that because our gut is another brain. Our heart is another brain, right? But we can't have access to those things if we don't have access to a healthy nervous system. And we can't be our full selves. We can't love ourselves wholly and fully if we don't have a healthy nervous system. And no one talks about this. We just share polarized memes day in and day out, right? But this is at the root of our reactions. This is at the root of our beliefs. This is at the root of our lives. So, in order for us to take care of, in order for us to follow our own truth, in order for us to manifest our greatest reality, to see beyond our shadows, we need to regulate our nervous system. Thankfully, this is becoming more trendy, but spoken about. And a true book that's becomes a part of your development now today. And right now, the world is still developing. And if you just feel this conversation, because so many people care about it. You look to the left to see a healthy nervous system. There's something that arouses you, so it triggers. And then the sympathetic nervous system goes into that arousal state. The parasympathetic, I can't speak, does the opposite. And then life moves on, right? This is a normal reaction. If you look to the right, that red line, that was my life. That was how I lived my daily life. And I didn't know that wasn't normal. That's how most people live their lives. I wouldn't say most. I think that's an overblown statement. More people than they are consciously aware of have that red line as their nervous system. And those who have endured more trauma than others, it's more extreme. Those who grew up in unhealthy environments where they weren't capable of loving themselves, it's more extreme. Your reactions are more extreme. Your emotions are more extreme because of that. So I'm bringing this up intentionally. I want to bring awareness to it because today we'll discuss ways to work on healing that. Now, anyone who's worked with me one-on-one knows I am a huge proponent for yoga. It helps with the mind-body connection, so the somatic healing in your body, which heals your nervous system. Sometimes when you first get into yoga, it's a little hard to do because it's like meditation. You're like, why am I doing this? This is strange. You don't get it, right? But the more you do it, the deeper you get into your practice, the more connected you get with your body and your mind and everything. You start to see things deeper. You start to interpret the moment deeper. And you feel things that need to be released from your nervous system sometimes during practice. I remember one time at the tail end of a practice, I just started crying. And I've had other clients who've told me the same thing. It's just a release of emotion from our nervous system. That's how we heal. We feel to heal our nervous system. We also need to be in a safe space with people. We need to feel comfortable with the person we're around if we are trying to heal our nervous system. For me, yoga and going to the yoga studio was my safe space. And luckily that same yoga studio also had a very big leadership mindset. So not only was I there healing my nervous system, but I was also getting affirmations on leadership mindset while I was doing yoga. I had no clue in the moment what was happening, but I'm so grateful for that, right? And being able to shift from that stressor that I showed you in that prior picture to a relaxed state quicker is how we build that muscle and heal our nervous system and expand the capacity within our nervous system to feel emotions. A lot of people, again, don't realize that this is something they need to work on. Maybe they've been in neglectful environments their whole lives. Maybe they've self-medicated, whether that be pharmaceuticals or alcohol or marijuana or any of those things. I'm not anti-marijuana, by the way. And I am a huge fan for microdosing shrooms for medicinal reasons and healing within reason. I feel like some people abuse it. As long as you're doing it for the reason that is necessary and doing the work, I believe it does wonders. So some people have been numbing their emotions because they had no other way of knowing how to regulate them, right? So building that muscle and building that expansion is really just allowing yourself to feel the emotion and sit with it and release it. You don't have to become the emotion. Your thoughts are not you in those moments. Remember that. Your thoughts are not you. Your nervous system is just reacting, okay? And if you can remember that and get to a peaceful state and build that muscle, I guarantee your whole life will change. So many people are reactive right now because they need to do this step 3 and they don't know how. So again, you'll expand the capacity each time. The goal really in your life to live in an ideal state, as most of you guys know, I'm a high performance coach. So once you know what life is like living completely in flow state, why would you want to go in any other direction, right? Why not live a life with your full potential? And to me, that's the grandest form of self-love. So flow state can be experienced in almost any activity that has clearly defined goals and a balance between the difficulty of the challenge and the skills of the individual. Activity known to inspire flow are generally those in which you feel totally involved, do not experience boredom or anxiety, and in which you feel totally involved and interested. So this is just a little graph to show you. And every single one of my clients and just anyone around me, that's the ideal state I want for you guys. To be able to really truly stand in your power and understand that you are in complete control of it, mastering yourself. Okay? I don't know why this has come out so gnarly, but the emotional state regulation. All right, this is where we have most of our power, guys. It's in our daily meditation. It helps us slow down our brain waves, disrupt intrusive thoughts. We've already talked on that. I've already mentioned it a few times, so I won't dive too deeply into that. Mindful music. So for instance, the music I'm playing right now and what I played while I was doing the meditation. If you know that you're about to go do something and you need to bring your full attention, turn down the distractions around you. Let your mind rest. Turn on something calming. Or if you need to be energized and alert and excited, turn on something with that energy. Hack your emotional state. And if you're in a stressed out state, music is amazing to shift states with. It gets you out of your head, it gets you more into the moment, into, if you can feel in your body a more relaxed state, that's where you really need to feel the change, right? So I highly recommend curating playlists for yourself. I have multiple ones, but to each their own. Physical activity. Talked about yoga. I personally love dancing. It helps me really master myself in states where I need to wake up or just get out of a certain negative mindset, and just exercise in general. On my hardest days, guys, my hardest days, I could have easily just rolled over in bed and said, I'm going to stay in bed all day, and cried, because that's how horrible I felt. My hardest days, I went running and I held the longest planks of my life because I knew I needed to get that energy out. Okay, so I don't like the idea of, it never sat right with me, the idea of pushing my negative state onto the world around me, right? So, mind you, it is necessary to be honest about how you're feeling. That's not what I'm saying at all. If you have a negative interaction with somebody, kind of like what you were saying earlier, Daniel, is, and don't suppress it by going running. No, that's an opportunity to communicate mindfully so that you can get rid of those negative things in the future. That's how you create healthy boundaries, right? So that's not what I'm saying. But on those days, I didn't have anything I was fighting against, anything other than my nervous system. I was fighting against my nervous system, essentially. And there's a lot more to the story, and it was hard. I had some really hard days. But that's why I'm so passionate about where I'm at now. That's why I'm so passionate about giving this back. That's why I do what I do. Okay? All of that releases dopamine in your system. Again, learning something new and helping others, giving back, even doing charity work, something where you're genuinely like interested in helping maybe a community. Dive into that and really figure out what that is for you. We're all different, right? For me, this is my form of giving back. I love this. Even if it's just one person here live with me, Daniel, which I appreciate you so much. Like, I know that multiple people are going to get to watch this. And I love knowing that I may help or impact somebody's life for the best. This is completely free. And I love that. I wish more people did that, right? This is my version of that. Celebrate your wins. Constantly celebrate yourself. Reward yourself when you're doing good, when you complete something. So many people have a negative self-talk in their mind where they're on this hamster wheel of negativity. Really be honest about the way you're talking to yourself. And if you hear, like you were saying, fighting your subconscious, right? If you hear voices, it sounds funny, voices in your head that are negative, it's really just self-talk, right? If you have a negative train of self-talk, you are in control of that. Reshape it all. I was thinking about this earlier. There came a point in my healing journey and my path where I told myself, I'm no longer going to be in a rush, because I would always beat myself up for that. On the inside, I was never moving fast enough. I was never, and then I was missing out on living in the moment, right? And it was just an extension of my unhealed nervous system, which now I see. Back then, I shifted my mindset. I said, you know what? I'm not in a rush anymore. I'm just going to be proactive and plan ahead always. And if something happens, I'll communicate it. I'm not going to stress about it anymore. And little shifts like that in your mind, right? Like, I was no longer wasting my energy unnecessarily beating myself up. And it's funny how we get these narratives in our mind. A lot of them come from our families, and a lot of it's the voice we heard as kids from our parents, right? And it's really our responsibility to reshape that and to go back and be more intelligent with our thoughts. Every single day, focus on what you're grateful for. I can tell you on my hardest days, I did this every single day. Focused on my gratitude, reshaped my thoughts, physical activity, was very mindful about music, meditation, and it's mind-blowing how much just doing this consistently over a short period of time has changed me. It's a muscle that you have complete control over building, right? And this is how we love ourselves. And this is how we can live and stand fully in the best versions of ourselves. I put a graph here of the brain waves, which you guys may or may not be familiar with them. Say the heightened perception, learning, problem-solving, task, cognitive processing is the gamma. It's the top one. When you're awake, alert, consciousness, thinking, excitement, it's the beta, which is the norm for everyone, right? Alpha is physically and mentally relaxed. Theta is deep meditation, creativity, insight, deep states, dreams, reduced consciousness, which I think is actually increased consciousness. Delta is deep dream, less sleep, loss of bodily awareness, and repair. So theta is the state you go into when you're in meditation. And just notice how much energy you're exerting on that top one versus the bottom. Theta is the one we want to aim for. But it's really, truly all about being mindful about where you're pouring your time and your energy, which is why I had you guys analyze all of that for week 1, because we need to know so that we can stop wasting our time and our energy, right? If we don't analyze those things, we can't make the unconscious conscious. So for this week, focus on your strengths and leverage support for your weaknesses. Look at your wants and needs. I'll tell you, minimalism changed my life too. I have talked about this before. I'm not sure if it was here, but I always would self-diagnose myself as ADHD. And a lot of it was because I was surrounded by so much chaos and clutter, and I was distracted, and I always, again, I couldn't just sit still. I was constantly on the go because of my trauma and all these other things that I had dealt with, right? And once I started taking things away, which again was why I wanted you to analyze your life, the people around you, and the things that you're doing with your time. Really focus where you're putting your energy. Once I became disciplined with that, you're not working against the grain, because everything that you've curated around you fits. And the less you have around you, the easier it is to maintain everything, right? So I said this earlier, being proactive. So with your goals, your intentions, with your daily declarations, with your meal prep even, being proactive with the people around you. My daughter, she's here, and she knows usually long before I have these events when I'm having them and what I need for the time frame from her, right? Setting intentions, communicating. People can't read your mind. And I've noticed a lot of dysfunction happens when people don't communicate. And all it takes is a second from your life to send a quick note to someone you love or someone who you're interacting with. Say, hey, just giving you a heads up. This is what's going on. So if you don't hear from me, that's why. Life changing, right? Make your schedule fit you versus going against the grain. There's so much motivational stuff going around about, certain people in certain genres and how they live their lives. But when you really dig deeper and you actually meet people who are living these lives, most of it's bogus. Really, what I find, the people who are closer to, yeah, Daniel, exactly. It's absolutely amazing how those mental health issues go away or subside when you get away from the wrong people. Yeah, yes, that's so true. So back to what I was saying, what I've noticed is the people who climb the higher up in their own paradigm, self-love paradigm, and even wealth-wise, however you want to view it, because it all kind of aligns, right? They're just living their truest selves. They're not always not drinking sugary sodas. They're not always waking up at 5 a.m. They're not always, what they're doing is they're focusing on their strengths and their weaknesses, and they're not going against the grain. And they know how and when to pour their energy. It's really a mastering of those things, right? That's why I want to go over this, because why would you not want to live your life without that chaos? So I had a mentor I worked with, and she was always adamant about, I refuse to do anything before 10 a.m. I'm not sure how much money she has, but it's a lot. And that was her mindset, so to each their own. Don't go against the grain. Clutter-free environment. Keep in mind that your environment is a physical manifestation of your mental state. So if you have clutter everywhere, if you have chaos around you, guess what? There's clutter and chaos going on in here. So that's something to be mindful and aware of. Be yourself. Everyone is already taken. Oscar Wilde, one of my favorites. There was another quote by him that I love that aligns with my coaching. It's something along the lines of, we're all a copy of a copy, essentially. I'll have to find the exact quote, but essentially saying that we're all mimicking other people instead of just being ourselves. And I'm all about us each finding our truths and living it. All right. Week 2 assignments. You'll want to email them to lauren@thesubconsciousmuse.com. First one, strengths and weaknesses. Contact at least 5 people and have them list out your strengths. I didn't put weaknesses here, but I meant to, and weaknesses. So the goal here, Daniel, since I know you're here, I'm going to call you out specifically, but the goal here is to contact people that are not only close to you, but also maybe a little distant from you too, because you want to get different perspectives. If you want to do more than 5, great. More the better, because you get to see the variance, right? But it's interesting because you can see people who are close to you, how they categorize your strengths and weaknesses. Then you can see people who don't know you that well, how they categorize your strengths and weaknesses. The goal is to look at that list and be able to fine-tune your life, okay? Limiting beliefs. Write out at least 5 limiting beliefs that you currently have and turn them into a positive statement or affirmation. Again, all of us are different. We all have different limiting beliefs, but if we want to master ourselves, we have to master those. And with that said, we have reached the end of week 2. So grateful for you, Daniel. Thank you for being here again. And whoever else is able to watch this, I'm grateful for each and every one of you. If you are interested in scheduling a free session, that's available. Have a wonderful night. And until next week, love yourself. You deserve it. Thank you, Daniel. Take care.